Buzz's retirement news of the day. I started this channel basically to give us some news, retirement news that on my other channel I won't bore people with. I'll bore this channel with it because there's some news junkies out there. So I like to pick certain things and sit out here in the by the airport where you could hear the planes coming like every 30 seconds. So that's my lot in life. That's the way it goes. Get used to it. If you subscribe, you'll have more than your fair share of airplanes going over. Anyway, today I was going to talk about the AARP. The new one I just got in today, I thought was kind of interesting. Now, before we go any further, we don't do politics on the channel because that's a no-win situation for either side. Or if you're in the middle, it's a no-win for you either. I mean, you could take a subject and just blow it into outer space. Even, you know, what's the old meme that they say you put a stick out there, people can argue about a stick. It's true. So we don't do that. And you know, people say, oh, AARP is leaning one way or another, and let me tell you something what I do, and I'll put this little asterisk and I'll tell you how I do this. Me personally, I take all kinds of news in my daily life, and all I basically do is listen to every side. Now, picture a balloon. You have a balloon that has not been blown up, and that is the subject of something. Now, blow it up, make it about this big, and that's what you get when the news gets a hold of it. So depending on what side you are, they can take a very simple thing and just blow it out of proportion and beat it to death. So we don't do that for that reason. It's hard to get good information anymore. So what we're going to do is just try to do fact-based information. I can't say we're going to be perfect either, but AARP, however you look at it, it does, as a retired person, it does have some interesting stuff. And we signed up for like 2 years for really cheap. I mean, I think it was under $10 if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if that's the price right now, but very interesting what they have in here. And let me just go through a couple things. So first they got this food stuff. So Mrs. Buzz, she likes to go through and look at, some of the recipes that they have, and it just interesting stories. And let me get to a couple. I should have bookmarked them, but it's okay. We can wait. We can wait for the plane. The plane. Just a couple things in here I thought was kind of cool. So they have like 5 ways to slash medical bills. Okay. And, they talk about look for deals on drugs. Now, when I went into my doctor recently, hello, plane. When I went into my doctor recently, he prescribed me, I had some issue with bronchitis type issue, and he prescribed me 2 drugs, that an antibiotic type thing, and something else. A steroid, I'm sorry, I couldn't think of it. And he showed me what was really neat. He said, hey, this is only, with your insurance, only $1 and $2. And I thought, well, that's cool. He actually told me what the medicine was going to cost. And I've noticed that my doctor does that. So look for deals on drugs. So there is GoodRx. There's different discount places that are not part of insurance, which is really cool. Ask for your no-cost exams and vaccines. So Original Medicare will give you an exam, a full physical exam, no charge. I believe, I don't want to say it's once a year, but I think it is. It's an annual wellness check, and you can get that free, but you have to code it that way. So, if you have something going on, you could say, hey, I want to get this coded as a physical, and see what they tell you. Avoid hospitals for routine scans, it says. Well, that makes sense, but I take that back. So I had 2 things done. And I don't know what they mean by routine scans. That's just something that you have to pay for. There are 2 things once you get on Medicare that you can get, and one is if you're a former smoker, which I was until 1985. They check, and I'm not sure what the technical term, but there is a free check on your insides. So they do that for free. It's a CAT scan, I believe, and I think I had that one done. And then they now have a cardio score where they're going to check for the deposits in your veins. So those are both free under Medicare, something that if you're on Medicare to take a look at. So they talk about that, which is kind of cool. And then they have complain like a pro. so we've all been there, where you have to pick up the phone or you have to write a letter and email, I should say, now that I guess, you know, I'm showing my age, write a letter. But yeah, write an email and tell a company or a person that you've got a problem with something. So all they do, just, you know, they say be AI savvy. So a lot of times now when you call, you're going to get an AI bot that's going to say, can I direct you, or what can I, you know, how can I help you? So, and those to me are pretty worthless. You got to get to a human. The human's the only one that can really talk to you. So you got to say, and it suggests here, you know, customer service representative, speak to a human, live support, supervisor, complaint, account issue, escalate. So those are some of the words you could use to an AI bot to try to get it up there. Red-winged blackbird, there he is. Climb the company ladder, be quick, use your time wisely. So it says here, if you're going to chase like 10 bucks, and you're spending hours and hours chasing 10 bucks, is it really worth it? So you want to, and if you think it is, and it's principle sometimes too, right? It's just principle. I don't care if it's 50 cents. It's the principle that somebody did you wrong. So just make sure that you want to make sure that your calls are short, your emails are short, that you send them out. You say, hey, here's my issue. Here's how I want it resolved. You know, don't beat around the bush. Describe the problem, describe the solution that you're looking for, and leave all the rest of it out of it. Just, you know, go for that. So those are pretty cool words of advice. Now, one that'll probably make people a little mad. It says boomer. This was from the Zeddy's Generational Leadership Report, whatever the heck that is. And you can see with the circle diagram here. Boomers work the hardest. In a new survey of workers, 46% rated boomers as having the highest work ethic, followed by Gen X, 26%, millennials, 19%, and Gen Z at 9%. 66% say younger generations are more likely to job hop. So they're not in it for the long haul. They're gonna, and hey, how can you blame them? If you have a skill and you're working for a place that's paying you X amount of dollars, and you find another place that's gonna pay you more, and you can maybe even get some more benefits, I don't see a problem in that. The only issue would be when it comes time for layoffs. If a company goes through a transition or has some type of problem, it's usually the youngest workers that get laid off first. I mean, I know that in unions, if you sign up with a union, that's always the case, unless you're a special skill. Some unions have clauses in their contracts, special skills will be retained in a layoff. But that can be rare depending on your situation. So that's one drawback to trying to jump around. But a lot of people have jumped around and done very, very well that I've heard from. So I wouldn't rule that out. But I thought that was kind of cool. 46%. Boomers work the hardest. I think we already know that. I think we got that from our parents. How the generations past us are now different than that, I don't know why. I know things are tougher here and there. But I tell you what, if you get into a trade, which I think is a good thing, trades versus degrees, I think now trades, especially with the AI coming on board, that's going to do a lot of these menial tasks, but they're not going to, at least now, they're not going to replace firemen and policemen and plumbers and electricians and people that can work with their hands and are fairly competent upstairs. They can make a big buck, and they're in high demand. Trust me, they're in high demand. Even where I worked, skilled trades, building dies or fixing dies. metal stamping dies. That is a dying art, so to speak, and it's hard to get trained on it. You have to be an apprentice. But that's another thing where you can make, depending on the place, $60,000 to $80,000 easily by being a skilled tradesman. So yeah, be careful about jumping around, but and be careful what you get into as a young person. But anyway, 46% boomers. We got the work ethic. Hey, I didn't write it. I'm just reading it. Then they got an article here about doing your DNA testing. Now, like, where did you come from? 5 ways to help you discover your roots and leave a lasting family legacy. Ancestry DNA, I did do that. I tried that out, and kind of interesting. I mean, it showed what I thought it was going to show, where my heritage goes back to Latvia and the European countries out that way. I know people that refuse to do it because, I think one of them got compromised. Was it 1, 2, 3 and me or something like that got compromised at one point, and some of their data was taken. So I know people can be, and I understand it, people can be a little bit leery about giving their DNA away. But I tell you, if somebody wants it, they're going to get it from you if they really want it. But yeah, so that's pretty cool, and that's something to look at. Then they have a story about, and this is kind of, and I haven't read this one yet, but let me flip over to this. But they have these stories about the buddy I'll never forget, and I don't want to bring it up here, but you see the buddy I'll never forget, and these are wartime stories: Vietnam, Korea, Gulf War, and actually one here, the Death March 5 was World War II. I haven't read this yet, but I got a feeling it's going to be a great great set of stories, and I will read that later tonight. So, and I usually don't see that in AARP, at least when I scan through them, and I don't like study them. I just kind of scan through them. To me, they're just they're another source of information. But this month's issue just seemed pretty interesting. So then they get into some hey, makes me hungry. North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina. I got some good food there. They got Chicago in here, Houston, and some different food places. So they got a real people segment, and just a lot of good interesting articles in this one today. The happily temporary dog dad. And a crossword puzzle for those of you who are inclined. Anyway, you're going to be getting some of this from me. You're going to be getting some facts of the day. We're going to talk about some different things. We're going to talk from space down to the oceans. We're going to talk about all kinds of different things, maybe news that you have not heard before. So stick around, subscribe, and we'll try to keep each other informed. Any comments, questions, or concerns, you can leave them down below. And I appreciate you watching. Take care.